and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute their right wherever you stand. Please call the roll.
Ron Holland.
Here.
Brett DeRoche.
Here.
Mitch Downs.
Here.
Roland Durrell.
Here.
Roland Guidry.
Here.
Brian Martz. McNeely Rome.
Here.
Keith Guidry.
Here.
Monty Davis. Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Okay, you've been furnished a copy of the minutes of the regular meeting of August the 9th. Your wishes as far as adoption of this or correcting the deletions in the minutes as presented. Moved by Max, second by Keith. All in favor, any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
You'll have to bear with me, I don't have my little name.
Oh, you can't see me.
I might call the wrong name, but the heart's in the right place. As the president report, I have nothing that I know of right now that I have to report, except I want to congratulate and thank our employees for doing this job with each other. And our faith in our levee system is proven to be true. Basically, it held. We had a few little spots, we had problems, but our hopes, all our plans, we were working since Katrina to build our levees to withstand this thing. Thank God we did it. I think we had the same levees that we had for Katrina would have flooded.
No doubt. If we had the levees that we haven't built over the last 2 years, we could have lost the whole system.
I think Mr. President, the public acknowledgement of that is outstanding. I mean, it's,
Well, you know, they can go look at Apache, they can drive up that ramp and see the debris line within a couple of feet at the top, and that's a 17-foot levee. So the debris line is telling people how bad it really was.
Man, don't tell them that. The people been going about bully cap. Jerry's telling me all kind of things. That there's something we can do to not allow the public to look at that. My God, they had Espion, people just wanting to go back there just to go look. You know, so if in the future, if we could either put a gate, I mean, is that Jerry's private land, him on Jerry Sawall on Alligator Fork?
I think the road is public
road
to the end.
Okay.
Now, I think when you get on the other side of the levee, it's
He owned the launch.
so people, y'all can't go based on
His wife was trying to block him from talking to them. I said,
Call
what
Mr.
are you
Rowland.
talking about the bottom of the levee instead of the top?
Yeah. So, I mean,
Okay, let's move on. Anybody from the audience with purpose of addressing the board? You don't want to see it? Manager report,
Okay. Well, first, when something this big, nothing this big gets built by any small group or a short amount of time, you know, you got to go back. Dick Guidry basically passed a resolution in 1951 is what got things really started. Betsy got the authorization of our system, rose gold and metal, but there's a study report in 1955. Betsy in 1965 got it authorized, October 27th, 1965, they authorized rose gold and metal. We didn't start building any of the real designs until 73. First bucket full of dirt, 1976. Okay, so, and all that time, and we had the first boards. I think North Ontario was the first president of the board, and all the board members, everybody that came after, and you know, I know what Leon and Ronald have done. Now, I've been here, and they've been the two board presidents I've served. And one thing, and all the board members from that time, I think about Lula, Mr. Martz, you know, everybody want to do one thing, keep all our people's homes and businesses, you know, and they've been consistent with that, and that's why we've had success. We haven't done everything perfect, but our intent was to do it perfect.
Let me correct you. The first president was Roy Giscard. Roy Giscard, then it was when it was reorganized.
And again, so the leadership has been there. You can only be as good as your boss lets you be. And the board has done those things, and then the employees that go, and that's why I wanted Kevin and Drake here. The employees, and they're representing our employees that go out there facing 70-mile-an-hour winds. Kevin, they'll cut some, to get to the pumps, you'll have to cut some telephone poles and some timber, right? The wind was blowing, what, 67 miles an hour? We were in the hospital We tried 3 times to go out. Couldn't stand in the wind, couldn't get to the vehicles. The 4th time, and it dropped to what, 70 miles an hour. And every one of the guys, and you know, when it's that type of conditions, I'll make a rule, we gotta have 2 people per truck. Make sure to help each other out in case something happens. And they went out, and then you had people in the community. We had it was a trailer was across the road going to pump station number 2. Drake and I go there, we're trying to like pass the telephone poles, but there's a trailer. Half of it broken with a bunch of debris on the road we couldn't get through. We called Jerry Sombart. When we finally contacted him, and I don't know when,
2 o'clock in the morning.
4 in the morning, he cleared that trailer. So it's everybody, you know, doing their part. And for a big project like this, it takes a lot of people. A lot of people doing the right thing, and it really paid off for that night. Again, it's a thank you for everybody. And then without the community passing the taxes that they passed, had they not done that, we would be flooded. And if we flooded, who knows what kind of community we have again? Does it turn into Levee, you know, where everybody starts leaving? But we did because everybody worked together to accomplish what we accomplished. So, you know, we didn't have a lot of time to organize since the storm. A lot of stuff still, you know, we had to switch office buildings, switch everything. A lot of our buildings were damaged, but we were back. It was a Sunday, Monday hurricane, okay? The worst winds ever to hit Louisiana, okay? By Thursday afternoon, we were at normal operations. Now, it was abnormal that all our buildings were busted. All the sheet metal was all over the place, but we had the water levels down to normal, and we were running a normal operation, and the pumps and the floodgates were working, even though the buildings were tattered. But the function that we do, and we were ready at that Thursday when if traffic was going to be at the lock, we were ready to pass traffic. And again, we had a bunch of debris. I'll show you some of the pictures, but our guys cleared it out. They cleared it out on Thursday. We were ready to roll with for business. Business didn't get there. It's still being blocked by the state bridges. But we had our people there ready for operation. Yeah. This is at the job site. This is the pump station at the West Form. We have a contractor there ready to do some work. It's a 12-foot elevation, and we will finish project to be 18 feet. Well, the storm got there before we got there with the 18 feet, and we had some water come over there, and but not enough to cause any flooding. And it's again even with next slide, and that's all. You can see the debris on the inside. But look, and look, had we not been delayed by some governmental agencies 2 or 3 months, it would have been in place and we wouldn't have this problem. All right.
As a footnote, at the time they were building that thing, we asked them, would you please build it up to 18 feet, which was our plan to have 18-foot ladders? And they said no.
Well, yeah,
all of it was a little extra steel. All the work would have been the same.
Yeah, that was the Corps. The Corps had come in and we had, after Katrina, they would take the hard structures and we would increase the levees. And we asked them to go to the minimum of 16, and they said no, they would go to the elevation they went to, which was not a problem here. But we would have had we not been slowed down, we would have had the 18 feet there. There would have been no debris coming through at all. Next. Okay, that's just on the side, and that's just the real top of the level. I mean, I talked to one guy with the state, with Homeland Security, said he's never seen, you know, he's done a lot of hurricanes, never seen the amount of debris on the levee like he's had over here. We have some places that the marsh grass goes from beyond the toe of the levee all the way to the crown, and it's a foot thick. Okay, that's, again, that's on that same area. Yep, that's good. Just keep on going. Okay, that's at the flood gate. That's the amount of trash they had in there. And our guys were really smart about how we did it. The water was higher, finally it dropped on the outside. Water was higher on the inside. So instead of just opening slowly, what we did is we had the gate, the north gate, closed. Okay, open this gate, and then open the north gate. That gives some momentum, and the water was, you know, it had that drop off. Well, it started eating it back from the front to the back. It cleared out completely by itself. Okay, next. But what did Okay, that right? Yours?
Sorry about that.
Now, okay, good, stop. I see the files are going through the fender system. We have them in the crew, went out there and they got it, they got it out of the way. And from that point on, it was navigation through the locks, it was people were ready to go. Next. Okay, again, take the debris, stuff, and again, opening the locks the way they did, they cleared it all up. Next.
How close to topping did we have?
Okay, over here, you can see the debris right here.
Right.
It got to 12, that's what, I forgot who told me.
Dave
They
just
said
said.
before it broke, before the elevation meters
We
broke.
can see it on the camera. Where's the camera in elevation of that? Because Martin Folks had the
Oh, yeah,
camera shot.
when he was talking to me,
Yeah.
it was probably in the ballpark of maybe 9 to 10, because he was looking, this is what he was looking at.
Uh-huh.
See, and that's oh, here's, look, about 8. That's you talking about, the new line that we had was even with the floor right here. So, but it got to 12, okay? And the old elevation was like 11.6, so we're gonna have some slight topping right there.
Right.
On that level.
So I think the camera, because that's when he thought it was over topping. Because he was
Yeah.
talking to you, he was like, man, look, I think I'm a.
No, there was no over topping
Okay.
there at all. On the
The
southern end.
rule was the gate had broken.
Yeah, no, we checked and we went back, there was a door to the entrance control tower that was flapping open. Now, they could have said that the door was broken at the gate, next thing you know, people say it, passing the word on. I can't think of anything else that happened, because there was, and the gate does leak, so there's some water that comes inside, and it's, but nothing's broken. Anybody, y'all heard anything else?
No, we had Kevin and him had locked it with bolts, so the gate couldn't open up. And at the end of the storm, we went to take the bolts off so the gates could open like they're supposed to.
I mean, y'all can hear the door to this on, what y'all think, that's the story.
The overtopping, I think they seen is the new locks, the lower structure.
Lower
I think the waves were breaking over the
Oh,
north
okay,
gate.
that top
That's
window.
over top.
Because you get water inside of there,
Right.
and yeah, that could have been the reason why they were thinking that. And look, that's the other thing, this wind's blowing 130 miles an hour, okay? And it's coming almost due south. We believe that the reason the water was so high in the cut-off of Rose area is because the wind blew it that high. We had an experience with Cindy back in 2005, where we had water going over the Golden Meadow because of the north wind blowing, all right? I talked to Reggie, he told me, because they got the north wind. Remember, the eye was supposed to pass the western Terrebonne, when the eastern Terrebonne, they had mostly north wind. They had a +10 on the inside and a -4 on the outside. And that's where they got the damage came from, the Flint Gate. So that's something.
The last readings I got when I called was 12 on the outside and -125 on the inside.
Okay, yeah,
So it was pushing.
yeah, and that's when we still had some communication, and it could have gotten worse than that, because it seems to keep on going with, and we believe we were in the eye wall for probably 6 hours. It just never eased up. And the high wall that's the most powerful part of the storm. If you want, that's the worst part of the storm, the wind, and it's gonna set up the biggest storm surge, it's the high wall. And we experienced that, I don't think anybody came close to, and I checked with NOAA, they showed that the envelope of the highest winds, and it goes from a circle from Fouchon about up to the Rose. That was the highest wind over land in this storm that provided.
And you can see by passing up and down the highway where the areas where the wind was shifted, and went around, everything in its path is just knocked down. And then go a little further, it's not as bad, then go a little further, it's again, it seems like it kind of wobbled a little bit there, I don't know.
Well,
In front of my house, I see
it's-
about 6 foot, the wind blew it about 6 foot up, I think about 9-10 feet from the edge of the blacktop.
Yeah, yeah. And
Right.
yeah, and I saw the debris line by your shed. You know, we take a look at that. I said, man, again, when you see a storm like that, you see things you never saw before. And that's kind of what happened. Because this is a rare, again, it's the highest winds that ever hit a hurricane.
But when looking at taking photographs of all those vessels that are on the bank and everything else. To get them that high, you have to have plenty of water.
Oh, yeah.
Not just wind, water.
No, but the wind blew the water
So,
off.
yeah, so if we record all of that, we can pretty much take a picture of where,
Well, we are gonna try to piece all the pictures together to find out what elevations happen at what time, and what the maximum elevations were. Because, no, absolutely, again, the
We
water
heard
going
from
from the
the-
south, as Joe was mentioning, it was minus 1.5 behind the flood gate, okay, the lock. And so it was gonna be going up at least a foot and a half of the part of the mile, or more. And it was finally getting against the floodgate rules. And then when we closed the gate on LA1, the debris line, I mean, the top of the ramp is 12 feet, and the debris line looked like it didn't quite get to the gate, all right? And so, I mean, that was a good deal. Next. Here's outside, okay, there's the debris line outside of the gate, looking south. And the dot to the left looks out, right? Did you notice? Go back one. That's the only thing standing that we can see from there. And you look toward the Levee Bridge, and that's it. That's the only thing that's standing. All right. And that's pump station number 1. Next. And that's from the inside looking out. Next. Highlight around and looking back. All right. Next. And that's looking south. I'm on the north side of it, looking south. And again, everything was functional when we got there. The only thing that happened, number 1, when some of this metal was going on, it messed up the electrical system. That's where we had to get the generator and do some extra work. That's the only thing that worked well after. We had to go ahead and get an extra generator, get some extra work done, and finally got everything done by Thursday. Everything was running if we wanted it to run. And you see here some of the debris. Yeah, okay, look. Yeah, stop. Okay, next. Hard to tell in the picture, but this is the first time that I've seen this. It looks like the storm water got to a certain level, and then the continual wave action on top of that from the wind, it actually wore the grass out in a lot of areas, and that's actually a gouge in the levee. I've never seen that on the outside of the levee. I've seen some water running down, but not on the outside. On the outside, usually it would come up, make a very flat debris line. Here, it looked like in some areas, the water came up and stayed there, and that terrific wind was making waves just battle on the levee at that location. So you would see almost 2 debris lines. You see one debris line where the water was, the wave would hit and wash it down, and then the wave would also lift debris, and the wind blowing hard, doing this, would bring the debris on top and over the levee. So there's a lot of places that looks like the levee's over top, and it's not. It's just this storm with the heavy winds that it had and the wave action actually lifted the debris to look it over. In another part of the storm, in section D, you have again the wave, the waters, the wind's blowing like this, as the levee goes up, so the wind goes up when it takes the debris. But then of course the wind on top of that is going straight, and it sagged the debris on top of the crown of the levee. It looked like somebody had taken it and put it on top to be picked up. But that's what you saw. This is the gouge in the levee. We have that in several places. Next. That's another one. Next. You see this? I've never seen that. It's on the south on the
There, it goes up, huh?
yeah, and it causes degradation outside. So that's another reason why we've got to get all the debris out to see what's left underneath. But even with all of this, the levee still look strong. I mean, we've had some weakening of it and some eating up on it a bit. But the design that, again, we worked with that design around local engineers. How do we build the best levees that will keep the water out that we can afford? Had we built like core standards, talking to Mitch, he said the cost of core standards is their levees are probably 5 feet lower than they would be. And so you'd assume the same thing for us. If we had built to those standards, our levees would be 5 feet lower. And if they were 5 feet lower, we would have absolutely flood it. No 2 ways about it. All right. And again, that's another, now this, we didn't want any trees growing over the levee. It looks like that's a tree growing over the levee. But that's just a tree that was brought there, that might have led to it being gouged out the way it is. We also had a piling at pump station number 8 that went right where the discharge pipes are, and it gouged out a lot of the material there too. But we do have some sheet piling underneath the pump stations. That's, again, that's, looks like almost
Connex box.
what is it?
Connex box.
Yeah, yeah. All right, next. Hard to tell, but that you can see the debris line, it's about 4 feet from the ground. But there's a lot of debris that went over that looks like, because the other problem with the debris that's gotten over, every piece of wood that gets on the other side, actually look, it seems like every one of them had a nail in it. No clean wood, so it makes it, made it hard to kind of drive around. I've gotten, told Rick to try and see if he can get a clear path that we can drive. And I don't care where it's on the levee, just anywhere so you can drive, you always get out and look, because the Corps ready to do an inspection of damage on the levee. I've also heard, Gary Graves called and said that he and there's going to be an emergency supplemental to Congress for this storm and to try to help out for what happened last year with Laura. But he said he's got $200 million in it for us. Okay. And we'll see what, if that moves forward. Okay, next slide. Kind of hard to tell, but you can see a very distinct debris line. And we've got about a clearance of about 4 to 5 feet right here. Next. I'm having trouble making out. Okay, yeah. This is the Golden Meadow pump station, flood wall area. And that shows you the debris line. Now remember, this used to be 13 feet. We raised it to 17 feet, this area. And you see where the debris line is. We will, in all probability, had overtopping in this area if that project had not been completed this past summer. Okay. And you can see the boat, and we have, you're talking about, whose board is that up there?
Sorry.
Well, no,
Nobody claims it.
no, actually, went and called, we worked with it to go ahead and get back and tell them how good it worked to have the boat.
We looked it up to E4 nose and just dragged it backwards and let the boat flatten out our track.
So the boat goes
Push it in the water.
flattened out by the boat as it was pulling it down.
We're good. Surprisingly, there's a lot of piling right there. We had to move, kind of shimmy some piles over some big old, they got a bunch of timber right there.
Okay, all right, next. Again, same area, the debris line, just a few feet from the top. Next. Okay, I believe, I'm going to correct me, I think this is somewhere near the Apache, next slide. Yeah, that's Apache. And now look, if you can barely see the tops of the building on the other side. You see the debris line within a couple of feet from the top. That's a 17-foot levee. That's the one that's right near the 32-35.
Right.
Okay? And you can still see that debris line today. And, you know, because of the geometry, we had to run up about 15 to plus 15 to 16 right here. And the levee was 17. And we had to go over topping it all this way. All right, next. Okay, next. Okay, and that's the top of it. Okay, you see the trailer on the left is elevated, and you can see the tops of the houses over here, and that debris line, it's kind of hard to see, but it's just to the left of the top. And you're talking about water going over on the roofs of the houses. Next. Okay, another shot. So we better see the debris line and unreal. Next. This is, again, still a patch, but that's looking down the vine. Inside the levee, I mean, looks like every day.
Yeah.
But again, the levee did its job. Next. I believe that's over there. Next. Next. Okay, now this is along LA 24. You can see LA 24 is relatively high, 5-foot elevation. It looks like the water line, this is a 13-foot levee, so it might have got to maybe 7 or 8 right here. That's alongside this. That what's the canal?
Rest.
Dress,
Dress
Oh, the
canal.
dressing room.
Yeah, that's the Dress canal, and, okay, next. I'm having trouble thinking, but I think it's the same area. Yeah, next.
Is that a big room?
Oh, I think this one is, I think it's on C North, it's, north of, right near the Falls Farm. I think that's in Falls Farm, actually, the inside of that farm area. Next. Having trouble recognizing it. But again, this just to kind of show you, so many different areas we got so close. Now, this is a category 4 hurricane. I really believe that after they study the numbers, they're gonna come up with a category 5. Just too many people are talking about some validated, what like Lynch West, 193 miles an hour, a gust. Town of Golden Meadow, I believe on their Flint Gate, 123 consistent. And so there's a good chance it will be bumped up to category 5. Next. Okay, building right up against the left, I think this is South X. That's pump station number 2. This is outside at pump station that's going north, connects. You can see big debris line, okay, next. That's at pump station number 8, that's on the southern end, near our lock. Next. Again, some holes of the valve on the outside of the levee. Again, first time we've seen that. Yeah, that is the southern facing levee of the pump station number 8 and the lock. Under the ground. Yeah. Okay, that was all even with stuff. So you see the crown of the levee, maybe a 3-foot difference in elevation, and that held back a lot of water. You know, the thing about, you know, if you talk about whether the levees are strong or not, but you don't know they're really strong until the water gets to the top, okay? The water got to the top, and we didn't come close to having any failure anyway. And again, we built these levees for the $9 a cubic yard levee dirt, okay? And yours, $45 and more. And ours were strong enough to do what they need to do. This is the loop road. You know, we have a contract to raise the loop road to the height of the levees. We had head-scope baskets across. The water came up a foot on the head-scope baskets. Water would have gone in through that area, but the head-scope kept them out. And that's the side of the road. You can see the debris line. You know. So just continue the debris line to where the road is. You can see going up. But we kept it out. It's the other side of the road. All right, next. Let's see, I think that's headed toward pump station number 6, but you can see the debris line maybe 4 feet from the top. Next. Yeah, I think that's the same area. Again, that just to show you, it's all over the place. We came close to the top, except for section F and section C north along LA 24. It didn't look like it correct the levee, but a lot of other areas it spread to the top of the system. Next. Yeah, I think we did the same area. Next. Yeah, we're heading toward Cloven, I think we're on this one. Next. Yeah, that's Cloven. Okay, if they're looking straight and to the left is going south. Now, the edge of that picture, you should see our Borough Canal that was 12 feet deep. Well, it's filled with marsh grass. And all the way to the apex. Now, we built that area a little bit higher because it's at acute angle, so you expect to have some refraction from the waves to go in with the major wave and get higher. But it looked like the marsh was taken from here and just pushed up into that corner. Yeah. Okay, and the boat up on the levee, and they were trying to dig, and were having trouble digging into the Borough Canal deep enough for the boat to get up. Next. Okay, that's looking, just looking down. I'm actually on looking east, and that's part of the Cloven Levee there. And again, that's supposed to be the Borough Canal, okay? what you're looking at on the right. My next. Again, that's Barrow Canal. That's supposed to be a 12-foot deep channel that we built the levee from. Next. Okay, again, we're just going down the road at that 12. Next. Now you can see the debris on the inside. And there's a slight overtopping over here. And we have raised the levee 2 to 3 feet over here. And we're still working on that area. You know, and all the areas paid off where we said we needed to do work, and we got work accomplished, it paid off big time.
That's where we're getting more dirt from probably more.
Yeah. Next. Again, that's just looking at the thickness of the marsh grass. And a lot of dead animals. You need an animal, you find some dead ones in there.
Really?
Oh, yeah, all kinds. I mean, the marsh by itself stinks, but you have a ton of dead animals, pelicans, dead otter, blue rat, I mean, everything in there. Now, you know that is Superior Canal you're looking at. Now, it don't look like a Superior Canal there, it looks like a default canal. But that's looking straight into Superior Canal, and 3/4 of it is filled up with marsh grass. Next. Again, it shows how thick the marsh grass is, and that's where we're on the left. Next. This is a cross. This is the sheep pile wall of North America that was over top. Those people flooded on the north shore, on the north side of the coast.
That's not the food put up that wall.
Yeah. Next. And that's F. Again, that's a pump station that might build, you see it there. And it came, looks like it came maybe about 6 feet from the top. Next. And that's looking south. That's the debris line, very clear debris line. But what happens, you get less wave action if you have a couple of tree lines before you get to the levee. So that whole section over there, you get a more defined and less debris on it. We talk about a debris contract we got. Of course, in this area, didn't see too much. On both sides, this is what happens. But other areas, we had a lot of debris. Next. Yeah, trying to figure out where we were. This might be more of next. Let's stop and go there. Next. Oh, this is the part of Delta Farms Road. Delta Farms Road is under the mud. Okay, that's the levee. We look Delta, the bayous to the right of the street. And this whole area was mud, and this is the same mud that got in the houses north of the intercourse. And it smells worse than some boo-boo. Worse than next. Okay, and that's you look at it. There you go. That's good. There's our levee with the sheep pile in it. Our gates a little bit to the right. And that's the road you look at with mud, and that's I go up our levee full of the mud that was deposited. Next. This is at the Flint Gate. Again, kind of hard to see, but there's a debris line, and it looks like, that's a 13-foot elevation, so it looks like we've got close to 7 right here. Next. Okay, this is the area north of pump station number 2. Okay, that's Maison looking north, and here I'm looking east, and that's the debris. So the debris goes all the way past the end of the levee, and it's stacked up all the way out into the marsh and over the open water. And again, this powerful storm with the waves, they just churned and took stuff. And the marsh, terrible damage. So, I mean, bunch of open water. A lot of the terraces that were made, a lot of the grass was gone, but they were still there. You could still see them above the water. Next. And that's Maison. It's hard to tell, but that pump station doesn't have a top.
Yeah.
The storm took it out. You see the debris line? Where the discharge pipes are at, that's a +20. And then as you go to the left, it's 18-foot elevation. And so that's still impressive with the height that the water got on that side. All right, next. There's a park at Golden Meadow. And again, I'll show you the ground level shots. And this is I went up in a helicopter with the debris contractor, trying to take a look at everything. And that's Golden Meadow, that's the debris line, and it looks like it's in the ballpark of 13, 14 feet. Next. I think this is the area, this is by D-South, that's the area by Yankee Canal. This is the levee that Gary's Farm is on. And you can see the debris line. Of course, we're working on this project. We raised it 3 feet. Okay, made all the difference in the world. That, now, this is the other part going north. We're not working on this part of that part, but this is when Yankee Canal is headed east, and then the levee turns north. Okay, parallels going east, and it heads north. And it appears to be this looks this way because the waves or the water got very close to the top of the levee of the crown, and the waves were breaking right on the crown. And that's what you're looking at right here. That's some divots that was done by the wave, and that's what I'm assuming. We'll do some more investigating to find out actually. Like I said, we still haven't pieced together everything's still fixed. It's only a couple of weeks. By the board meeting, we should have a more accurate story of exactly. We're supposing that that's what happened here. The water got extremely high, waves breaking right on the crown of the levee and ate part of it up, and then the debris was on the other side. Next. And it continues. I mean, there's a long area where we have this kind of damage up there. And this is the brine storage reservoir. For the first time ever, he got over top. That's a 12-foot elevation, or originally it was built at 12 feet, and it's probably still is close to that. And it got over top. That's that area behind it. And they had to go in. The water in here is 5 times normal seawater. Okay, so even though seawater got in there, it's still a lot less dense. So they have a battery of pumps pumping out that non-dense water because they can't let that water get into and erode the caverns. That's why they need that very, very high ceiling. So they need to pump off it, and you have a very distinct line between the very saturated, super saturated salt line from the normal salt water. Next. This is Florida, and you get the levee's a little brown portion, and then you had the top of the levee had some debris on it, and you see some water on the inside. If any place, this is the place that had the worst of it, but just a little water got into cane field, and that was it. Next. Again, now this is that corner at Cloverland, and you can see all of the debris and the water gathered up all in that corner. Next. All right, here, this is the gas plant. We're looking at Delta Farms Road, okay? Bayou Lafourche, that's intercoastal to the right. Bayou Lafourche goes across the top, and that's Delta Farms Road coming down. That's a gas plant outside of the system. Kind of hard to tell, but you can see the black blood up to where our gate is on Delta Farms Road, and then you can see the difference on the other side. Next. Now that's a good shot. That's the gate, of course. Heading east is at the bottom of the picture. And that's the people who live inside of our wall.
But now VC is dock, right?
Right. His dock is toward the bottom of the picture. And that's that mud that covered up the whole area that was over top on the other side. And again, another shot. Now you can see our levee, and then you can see where it crosses the Delta Farms Road, all of the mud to the unprotected side, and then all the people on the north side had no problem with that issue at all. Next. This is the corner of Clover. There are no camps anymore. Everything.
Where the boat launch is?
That's the boat launch. That's the boat. That's what's left. I remember with Ike and with Rita, we had the water flowing over the road, and you know, the camps were there, but there are no camps.
Where the boat stands, it's shut snow.
Yeah, that's all gone. The salt, I mean, if you've got some pockets, that's it. That's what happens because the water's there. Okay, you saw the damage from the wind, but you add the water, and you can get this type of destruction. Next. And again, that's another golf course that we had. Next. Again, it shows over the damage on the levee. But again, it heard the levee was, no place was it totally weak. And just to show you how much debris, and that's why that guy said he never seen more debris. Any storm went into that. Next. Yeah, we got the call, and it said, if it was all right, he was gonna repair the roof while it was still on the level. And then he's gonna call when he's getting ready to pull it off the houseboat, and so we know that the water level got to that point. But you know, when the wind is due, we had our tractors more on top of the levee, and the wind pushed one of them, just pushed it and slid it off. Now, not traveling, it's just a tractor, the wind was throwing up and push it off and slide it off. Was that?
Who owns that now?
Darryl plays on. Darryl plays on.
What is Daryl's house?
See more.
Yeah.
Next.
It's hard to sleep in,
Again, that's intercoastal canal. Near the bottom, that's where our low levee that goes along, right, which goes along intercoastal. You can see the little debris line, and basically it looks like it's in the ballpark of 8 feet right here. You know, 8 feet was the original height of the wall. And then the Corps came and brought it to, I think, like 10.8, and we raised it, well, we're in the process of raising it to 13. All right, next slide. There you go.
Can't say that about it.
Well, I'm telling you, to go along the whole system and see how many places the water got high. But again, this storm, and you look at the storm surge, the difference with, like, say, Katrina. Katrina was a category 4 or 5 hurricane when it was in the southern part of the Gulf. So it was super powerful as it was coming up, and that set up a bunch of water in front of it. Now, although it was changing eye walls as it was making landfall, dropped down to category 3. But the momentum of all the water it had pushed from the beginning led to 28-foot storm surge. All right. This storm was a category 1, a weak 1, and a 2 into the southern Gulf, and it just ramped up quickly as it approached us. It was terrible with the wind, but because of the way it set up, we didn't have the tremendous high water that a storm like Katrina. And so you got to put everything in perspective. You know, no one wins against 28 feet. Like, you know, against Katrina, from the Texas line with Mexico, the Gulf Coast to Maine, any community would get wiped out by 28-foot storm surge. We were in the ballpark of a 12 with some run-ups up to 15 and 16, and we were able not to flood. You know, this is you know, I compare that storm to us was a heavyweight, and we were welterweight, but yet we still won. Just had enough to do. A little bit like when on the Food Blade show. You had a bunch of good athletes, but find a way to win. And I got to give a lot of credit. Our engineers, we sit back and we just don't accept what other people say. We go back and we don't have all the money that other people have. So we got to figure out what's the best thing to do with the money. And some of these are compromises. You know, it's should we make the levee stronger or make it higher? Okay? And you definitely don't want your levee to fail, but you don't need it to fail if the water gets over the top. Okay? So we've always debated, we continue to debate, we'll continue. You know, we question everybody, but the people we question the most is ourselves. So we make the final decision. And I think this kind of shows that we won, you know, most of the compromises we've made make the most sense. You know, and I've got to thank a lot of people. I've talked to, engineers, I've talked to the levee district guys that were there at Katrina, and all of those discussions we used to help form the way we do the levee, and it's paid off for us. But there's no guarantee next storm we'll have the right answer for it. And that's why, when people ask me, and that's why they gave an evacuation order. When you get a powerful storm, it's gonna be close. So don't depend on the levee for your life. Go to naturally high ground. Let the levee protect your property, and which happened here. So look, as high as that water did, if a barge had gotten loose with the right wave coming in and clips the top of the levee, even though the water would have got over the top of the levee, the barge could reduce your height to where you flood anyway.
Nice water in New Orleans.
Yep, and there was more than one board that went over and through some of the situations. But the odds of us getting something this powerful again are very, very small. But I say that, we live in Mississippi, you know, past Christianity, they got category 5 in 1969, Camille, and you know, they had Katrina. Same place, 42 years later. Yeah. Now, those are lucky people. But anyway, the hard work, paying attention, thinking about it all the time, it's paid off. So I want to congratulate everybody, including the community, for passing the taxes. If we have a lot of money, we improve it a lot. If we have a little bit of money, we improve it a little bit. But we continually improve the system, and we're going to continue trying to improve.
What's the best way to get rid of all the debris of the levee?
Well, we get a contract. Now, the Corps, we're going to talk about it. The federal government, they said that they would pay 100% of the cost of getting the debris off the road. The guy from Homeland Security, the state said he had never seen so much debris. And we're gonna, in fact, that's one of the next, we can talk about it now. You know. Let's talk about the debris contract. So we were told for the first 30 days, we get 100% federal cost. The normal FEMA cost share is 75-25, okay? When you have a powerful storm, a lot of times they'll go 90-10. But all of that's, you know, what we're talking about is big contracts, $20 million contract. So we want to pay zero. We're gonna have to struggle, because FEMA does this. You gotta pay for the work and they'll reimburse you. Well, that's gonna eat up our money that we need to repair some of the damages they put. So I've talked to Garrett and I've talked to some of the people with FEMA. I said, look, we need to find some way of either quick payback or some type of fund that FEMA could move the money through, that we're not out of that flow-through money. So it's gonna run us broke, but you ask how we do it, there's a contract now. We went with Allsouth. Allsouth had a lot of experience. They put out and said, look, guys, and I talked to Ron about it, we're in emergency, hard to communicate, phones are difficult to get, so in our emergency manual it says that we can do work by me talking to Ron or board members even. And we decided that because of the 100% pay of FEMA for 30 days, that we hurry up and get a contract out and work as fast as possible. Allsouth went ahead and I said, look, make sure you follow the rules, FEMA's rules, make sure everything is legal, make sure it's right, and that was my order to Allsouth.
My understanding that they wasn't handling the contract in Blackwood Parish after Katrina.
Oh, well, yeah, they are, with the low bidder, I forget the name. Dynamic. Well, we went out for bids, and there's different types of debris, and you bid differently on each one of them. And this company, Dynamic, who has, before the event, had the contract with Blackman and a couple of other entities. They were the low bid. Allsouth looked them up, and they had good credentials in the work that they did. And in fact, they were already working for Blackman Parish, and Allsouth was helping them coordinate that. And they said, yeah, out there they got good equipment and people are working real good. So it was a little bit. So we moved forward, we got a little bit, they know we got the job. We had a kickoff meeting Friday, and they have people, people already working on the levee and separating the material. But the place they want to place the material, DEQ, Louisiana Department of Quality, has to give them some type of permit. So once they get the information, tell me, we might call CPRA and ask them to expedite that and try to get that done so we can be in a guaranteed 100% pay. Now, we have the right in our contract to cut it off at any time. We also have the right to add other contractors if we need to. But we're going to see how it goes, and we have a lot of flexibility in it. But I just wanted to let you understand the reason we did what we did was for the speed aspect and trying to get that 100%. Now, we are hoping that they extend that 100%, you know, because it's hard to do work and get all that stuff done after you have an emergency and you can't talk on the phone. I mean, you know, I had to travel north to try to get on some of these conversations. You couldn't contact each other, and you had to track down people. But we have a contractor, he's starting to work, and if we can get the site that he's going to bring, especially the vegetative stuff, then we can start getting it cleared and seeing what kind of damage we have underneath the levee and start doing what we need to do. The Corps is gonna come do an inspection. I requested to do an inspection to see if any damage, and they've agreed to do that. And so we think we have, the congressional delegation looking at us, the Corps is gonna take a look at it, and, we think we're gonna have some help, taking the next steps, so we're better off the next year. Any questions?
Thank you.
I'd like you all to go ahead and approve of the process and the bid, the road bid that we took for the debris.
Yeah, I need a motion retroactively approve everything that our general manager has done. Move by Roland, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
We have reach L levy that's for Morganza, and this is an agreement with the state, and we'd like you to authorize the president to sign upon the approval of Jacob the Gate, who is the attorney for Terrebonne.
You've heard the recommendation of our general manager. Will you authorize me to sign the documents prepared by Jacob the Gate, or actually approved by Jacob the Gate? No wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Keith, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And then we had the reach L levy bid results, and they were way over budget, and so we would like for you to allow the president to reject all bids and re-advertise.
The recommendation of general manager to reject all bids. No wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Keith, second by Mac. Discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, we also have a proposal. I've been talking to GIS to help by getting water out of the bayou by actually utilizing Breton Canal and some type of siphoning system. They have presented a sheet of costs. I would like for you to authorize the president to review that sheet and agree to whatever he feels is correct expenditures for the study and the construction of that project.
Gentlemen, heard the recommendation of general manager. Moved by Keith, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
All right, we also have a intergovernmental agreement with the state for the money to build the Rose floodwall vessel impact barrier. That's to build something to protect the wall that we have in Rose that I showed you. We have rocks at the first part of it, but because put rocks further on, it would do way too much and destabilize the levee, so we're looking at a different type of doing that. We need to authorize the agreement of the IG that we have with the state to go forward with that project.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of engineers to approve, on approval of the board attorney revised recommendations. Motion is second. Motion by Grant, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
Okay, another intergovernmental agreement with CPRA for Section F berm. That's to strengthen the Section F levee. The interior berm is a little low. We have no concern. So we need you to allow the president to sign that agreement with the recommendation of our attorney.
Okay, you heard the recommendation by the general manager. This matter, moved by Keith, second by All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You got the name on that amendment.
It's
Mitch. Can't see him.
yeah, it's like a public room.
Rules lot structure bid document review letter for facility planning. We had the 1.8 million that had been allocated to us, but it had to go to the bond commission, sold bonds, they sold the bonds, I don't think you're aware of that, and we're put that 1.8 toward the lock in the rules. So just want to make sure y'all
And
aware of that.
also bring them up to date on the meeting we had the other day with CPRA, as far as coming up with the additional $5 million we need.
Oh, yeah. Well, we had Congressman Scalise now, and we had 3 levee districts, Northern Foos, South Foos, and Terrebonne, and they were looking at some of the structures to help Morganza. at the meeting over the fact that, look, it's nice that we're working with our neighbors, but we need money to finish that lock so that we can get and everybody in the area depends on that lock for navigation down by the Bruce from the Coastal Canal. And CPRA said, look, I've heard and discussed with Chad and with Archie and myself, and he said he would, I think he said he'd find $5 million for it.
Yep.
So that would let us get to the point where we can get ready to go to bids. We're just waiting on some work with the Corps to move forward with that. We have some used sheet pile that we had put a minimum bid, or we had 3 bids. Mary, you have a little bit on high bid.
We sell it.
Sell high.
You buy low, you sell high.
Rick Lede was the buyer.
Was that the?
Rick Lede?
Rick Lede bid $12,130. We had James Cantrell, $7,000. Steve Stoll, $5,113. So if you all approve that, we'll go ahead and work.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of our general manager to award this bid to the high bidder. No wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Max, second by Britt. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no.
You have in your packet an emergency declaration. We'd like the board to pass the emergency declaration and date it back to when the governor made the emergency declaration.
Do I have to read this thing?
No,
No.
no.
Okay, you heard the recommendation of the engineer, of our general manager on the emergency declaration. No wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no.
We talked about the storm debris contract. Any questions on that? All right. And we want to thank Crosby Tubbs for allowing us, our building, half of the roof got ripped off of it. And we worked in there for, how long was that, Mary? Maybe a week, 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And it was just tough conditions to do any kind of work. And we had no connections with anything. Kurt offered us some offices and take what you need. We had Mary and Amy go over there and pick out a couple of offices, and we've been working out of it, and it's been a tremendous situation. You know, I want to talk about people helping us out, but also for liability issues, I'd like for the board to allow an attorney to drop a contract so that we can make sure we protect, if something should happen, we protect Kurt's interests. So we'll go ahead, I'll get ready to write some type of agreement. Kurt said he wasn't interested in any rent or anything, but we'll put, I think those type of things, you put a $1.
Yeah, $1.
Yeah. But,
To be refunded at the end of the contract.
that's right. Minus any losses, right? But the other thing I gotta mention, our people, we go to the hospital when the storm gets bad. So we were at our office when the storm started, and we went to the hospital. As you know, the hospital roof lifted off. Now, you know, they were afraid of the structural integrity of the building. We went over the middle, but then it stabilized itself good. And they had provided rooms for us, okay? Water's leaking down the windows, coming in the room. And those people at the hospital would come with the shop vac and clean it up, and they'd come back and all, and the water's always interesting. They fed us, they took care of us. I can't say enough about what the hospital did for us. And one thing that's critical, and it's a terribly bad situation. I spoke to Karen, Ray's wife. She's administrator, and I said, look, we can't guarantee that flood's not going to happen. You've got your generator on the first floor, and they decided to try to evacuate it. She told me she made over 200 phone calls and could not get the 5 patients situated in another hospital. They would, a few of them said they'd take them, but they had to have support people to go with them, and they couldn't get agreements for that. So those 5 people were at real risk, And look, again, the roof got pulled off. They eventually got everybody out in a Black Hawk helicopter. So you still had to get them out anyway.
Yeah.
Okay? So, maybe in the, in the planning in the future, I'm talking about the state, not us, not the hospital, because they were ready to get everybody, they had a plan to get everybody out there. You can't force them to where, no one's gonna take them. And, again, that was something that was really bad, that it forced the hospital to stay open, and that was, it was a terrible situation. And hopefully we'll have some discussions about that, so it doesn't.
I tell you what, I've served on several boards, but the two that I'm most proud of is this Levee district and the hospital. Hospital does tremendous work, people don't realize that. I mean, I've heard some people refer to the chicken in the seat. And I can slap them in the face while they're sitting. They don't realize that we've got it. Now, we've got a shortage of doctors. That's one problem we got, because doctors, it's not so much the doctors, their wives. They want to come live down here. They want to be in the city where they can have a social life. The husband is working all the time, so you don't have to worry about that.
So you think?
But we've got the greatest support personnel of any hospital in the country. Those people give their all.
Can we build a safe house for all people here instead of depending on the hospital?
Well, that's what we started looking at is what do we look,
No.
we could, look, there's different ways to approach that issue. And that takes time and energy and some politics, okay? We've always put all of our energy into the levees,
Yes,
okay? And let someone else, when we kind of piggyback on someone else spending the money on hardening it. But there's an example. The port hardened their structure and they had a problem, okay? Our roof, which we got a metal roof to, it's not going anywhere. Well, it went somewhere, okay? So, but we can, and we'll investigate that. I've also talked to the mayor, and he's invited us to use his meeting room if we wanted to use that place. And again, we only use it as a place where we can stay safe until we can get out quicker. And that's why we stay there for one reason, just when conditions allow us to get out, we can get out.
When do you think we'll be ready to go back in our
I would think it would probably be a few months, because I mean, we got a lot of water damage. I mean, the water's came all over the place, and I did the little, what's called the dry back thing, and 17, 17 buckets of it, and still couldn't get ahead of it. But again, we're looking, we will get another place. Like I said, we had the town talk to us about doing that. But I tell you, the building we're in, Crosby's building, has been there for a long time and has not had any problems. I was talking to Kurt about it. They've, we're in that building, it's like nothing took place.
So nothing, propose a letter to thank you for letting us see?
Yeah, I'd like to give a thanks for the hospitality, charity that we gave us.
Okay.
Okay, the grass is getting a little tall around the pump station, and they do the work for that. Of course, there's a lot of debris. So they've sent us a cost sheet, an adjustment to what we've already agreed to. We had people who are experienced with grass cutting, and they said it's a reasonable request. I think you have it in your proposal, Mary? You have it. And we think it's a fair price that they're asking. It's extra money to clear out the debris that's in the way of their cutting grass.
I assume it's a temporary.
Yeah, but it's just, again, for the debris that's there.
Probably a month or two and they go back, right?
Yeah, this is the one-time deal for this situation. And we suggest that you approve.
Okay. Gentlemen, you've heard the wishes of our general manager. We approve the increase amount by temporary period of time. Moved by Keith, second by Mitch. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Anything else?
And again, I just want to say our employees, went out there, their personal homes had problems that they left water leaking in their house to go to the roof of the levee. They came through big time. They took chances. Like I say, cutting logs in the middle of a storm is not the safest thing to do. But they did, and that's the other thing. We've never had anybody hurt. We've always felt, look, you're not good to yourself or anybody else if you get hurt. So number one, be safe. If you think it's don't take any risk. So make sure you appraise the situation And they've done it, they've got the work done, and nobody has gotten hurt, so, don't wanna applaud them for just doing, this is a little bit more than their job. We ask for volunteers, we don't force all of our people to stay at the hospital or wherever we schedule emergency places. And yet, the majority show up there and they do their job. And, I just wanna, again, make the board understand, they did a fantastic job for every hurricane that we got.
Later on, when things get back to normal, we're gonna do something. Okay, engineering reports. CPRA, no one here. Corey,
How about you, man?
Oh, the final one, Daniel, the final
Stuck
one.
in behind you. When you weren't looking, man. No, I was a little late. I actually caught a flat. They also closed Klondike Road for one. Like, you know how that is. It's like hourly, that stuff changes. So I had to go back up and buy. I don't really have anything. Everything I was going to talk about, you pretty much covered with most of the agreements. So, nothing really to report there.
So I was correct. And then you
You're all correct. That part you're right about, but I am here.
Hey, he had a $5 on it to change his route, give him a break.
No, it's still flat.
Yeah, well,
Up there, over there, maybe.
be there.
Okay, project engineers. This your associate, Joe?
Yes, on section E North, Grand Isle Shipyard is the contractor, and they are complete with the project, and we are submitting a certificate of substantial completion for approval in January.
Okay, is there a recommendation of the engineers to give to issue a certificate of substantial completion on section E North levee improvements? Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Rowland, second by Rowland. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
I just want to mention, this is the digging and the modeling, shaping is still going on.
That's right. And section F, levee improvements, onshore materials and contractor. He still is working, he's making good progress, working from the middle of the project towards the pump station, then he'll start from the middle of the project working towards Clovelly. This is between pump station number 7 and Clovelly Farms. He has pay application number 6 in the amount of $172,268.25 to approve that.
And who is this now?
Onshore materials.
Onshore, okay. Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the engineers to pay onshore, pay request number 6 in the amount of $172,268.25. Your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Mitch, second by Brian. By Brett, excuse me. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And go to Meadow Pump Station football, sea level is a contract, is complete, and the lien period is complete. We were waiting on a clear lien certificate. We do have the pay application number 11, which is the retainage in the amount of $47,622.18. Maybe you can approve that contingent upon us receiving the clear lien certificate.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay sea level. Pay request will be the amount of $47,622.18. Okay, your wishes, gentlemen. By Keith, second by Mac. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
The LaRose Lock project, plans and specifications are complete. We sent them to CPRA and also the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for approval. We had some dialogue before the storm with the Corps of Engineers, and they asked for more information, and we sent them the information. We'll be getting in touch with them shortly just to make sure they have it, but they indicated that most things were looking satisfactory. And on section D South, phase 3, which is digging borrow material and hauling it to the levee and shaping it. Outer Limit Contractors is the contractor. He was on the job site hauling material and shaping, and he was getting ready to start working on the borrow area. He has pay application number 1 in the amount of $27,900 even, and we do recommend approval.
Okay, the recommendation of engineers to pay Outer Limits request number one, in amount of $27,900. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Mitch, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Any questions, Joe? Thank you, Joe. Okay, GIS, John. I assume.
Hey, John Plaisance with GIS Engineering. The A East body water retention, after 6 months of saying it's been sitting on somebody's desk at the Corps, they finally actually sent the draft permit in. I don't know if anyone's had a chance to sign it and send it back. So, one more big step closer. We're still coordinating with some of the pipeline utility companies, in particular we have Shell, Chevron, and Entergy that are outstanding on that. We've also, servitude requirements have been determined for the project. We forwarded that to both the staff and the attorney, so they are working on that. The plans and specs for the project have been completed, so once all the rest of that stuff is done and y'all deem it feasible to start advertising, we can start doing things. The D South flood wall improvements, phase 1, sea level construction is the contractor on that. Before the storm, they installed all the east flood wall H piles, and they had started driving the ones on the west side. Ida held them up. They had almost gotten to the point where there's an Entergy service to the Schwest houseboat, but now the houseboat has been moved. It's not damaged, but it's been moved, but that service is gone, so they should be able to get through there pretty quickly. When they get started again, the flood wall components is in progress. For the storm, that's one of the spots in our system where there was some overtopping, so there was a considerable amount of debris around that needs to be cleaned up. Our plan is to get sea level to take that and move it out of their way, so y'all contractor can come and pick it up when they're ready, but we're gonna get sea level to move it out of the way. There was also some scouring on the inside that will need to be addressed. At this point, we think, and the scouring actually even went under the scour mats. There are some concrete mats on the backside. It went under that. At this point, we think the best way to do that is to finish removing the concrete mats, put material, the dirt back, and then pour the concrete back again. But when all the debris is out of the way, we'll make a final assessment to that and get together with Wendell on that. Again, we'll be tracking these costs to get reimbursement from FEMA if that gets that. Also, right before Ida hit, CPRA approved the phase 2 documents. So we'll be coordinating with Wendell in the next couple of weeks to start advertising for that project, for the bidding for that project. The D North ramp, as Wendell mentioned, they'll put the HESCO baskets on there. That's the ramp at Loop. They did their job. The HESCO baskets have been removed, but there wasn't any much damage to the site itself. So we're going to be working on getting quotes from contractors to move the material out of that pit on the outside, put it on the berm of the levee so we can move that hopefully later this year into place and start that project. The Grand Bayou flood control structure, it was successfully operated for Hurricane Ida. We anticipate it being put into place again, I guess tomorrow, Wendell, for Tropical Storm Nicholas. All the plumb and batter piles have been installed with the remaining sheet pile. The final timber fender installations are underway. The settlement periods of the east and west abutments are being done, are complete. They're being shaped so we can tie in this sheet pile wall from the structure itself into the levee. We do have a pay request number 20 in the amount of $427,453.19 to be approved by the board.
Say that amount again, Ms. Lloyd.
$427,453.19.
And to who?
That would be to sea level construction. That's pay request number 20.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of the engineers to pay sea level there, request number 20, the amount of $427,453.19. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Keith, second by Matt. All in favor signify by, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
We also have change order number 10, which will credit the contract $7,827 to the barge gate itself.
And that's sea level again?
Correct.
We need to approve this? It's a reduction. Let's do it anyway.
$7,827.
Number 10 to sea level, the reduction. Your wish, gentlemen. Matt, Brett, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And right after the storm, Sea Level submitted their substantial completion request dated September 2nd. So that also, I think, takes a motion to the board.
Okay, that's sea level again, Jim?
Yes.
Okay, substantial, the engineers have recommended substantial completion document for sea level on the Grand Bayou bypass channel emergency. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Roland, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
The site laydown yard on the shortcut road and access waterways have, of course, sustained extensive siltation and piled with harsh grass and debris from Hurricane Ida. So Sea Level is also working on that debris removal operations, so y'all can get back and forth from the Flint Gate. Again, this task is being tracked for FEMA reimbursement. Barge gate itself, the barge, no further work was performed because it's finished in place, operated for Hurricane Ida, of course, again, and should be ready for Tropical Nicholas. The substantial completion was held on July 26th, 2021. So again, we recommend substantial completion of that project. Again, that is sea level. Again, that would take a vote of the board.
Okay, you heard a recommendation to the engineers to sea level, issue a sea level substantial completion certification. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Max, second by Brett. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
And also for the barge, we have pay request number 11 for sea level in the amount of $16,387.50.
Okay, recommendation by engineers, pay request number 11, sea level, $16,387.50. Your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Keith, sent by Brett. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, and Hurricanes Delta and Zeta, last year's storms, for both of them, we are continuing to assist All South to get whatever information they need to get reimbursement from FEMA. For Hurricane Zeta, there was limestone access road laydown yard repairs that needed to be done. Most of them were done before Ida. I think there is a little bit though that might need to be done in the future. So that'll be done when necessary.
Any questions, John? We'll move on to,
Thank you.
GIS engineer, Anjanette Michelle, Neil.
Yes, on the B North, B South Levee project, this is based on pump station Golden Park. That contractor, Pontchartrain Partners, is complete with the project. We have received our clear lien certificate, and we're recommending approval of their pay application number 40, which is the final retainage, in the amount of $535,009.61. And before the board would consider that, I just want to make you guys aware that there was a lien filed on the project. It was filed the day after this clear lien certificate was received. It was in the amount of about $346,000 by one of the subs to Pontchartrain. I'll review this in detail with Ryan and Ray, the legal counsel for the board. And their opinion is that the board has no reason not to pay this retainage, that because the sub missed that deadline, this becomes a private matter between the sub and Pontchartrain Partners. So I'm recommending that we pay the retainage in the amount of $535,009.61.
Okay, you've heard the recommendation of engineers to pay Pontchartrain Partners. Pay request number 40 in the amount of $535,009.61, which concludes the project, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, your wish, gentlemen. Moved by Max, second by Roland. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Okay, on the Seaside Levee improvements, this is a project north of the Basin Pump Station. That contractor is Grand Isle Shipyard LLC. They're continuing the work and they expect to begin work again in the next week on that project. On the La Rose flood wall height improvements, this is from the corner near Holy Rosary Church all the way up to the overpass on 308. Sea level construction is continuing with that project. We're raising the wall from an elevation of about 10.5 up to an elevation of 13. We're adding on some steel plates. All of the plates were in place for Hurricane Ida. They were lightly welded in place. It doesn't look like the water got up to that elevation. There's no damage. And sea level has already started work on that project again. It was one of the few project sites they had that weren't disturbed by the storm. On Morganza to the Gulf Reach L, as Wendell mentioned earlier in the meeting, we received bids on August 19th. The bids were significantly higher than what we had budgeted for. So we're going back to the drawing board and trying to get this project within budget. There's a couple of other factors that I think are going to help. Somewhere down the road with this project, there's a permit that a private landowner is working on to provide a borrow pit nearby. I think once that Corps of Engineers permit is received, it's going to help the cost significantly, probably to the tune of several $1 million to lower this price. That's all I have to report.
Thank you. Any questions, Neil? Thank you, Neil.
Thank you.
Delta Construction. Delta Coast Construction. I'll say it again. Consultants. Stevie, anybody here with Stevie? Okay, Mitchell. All South Consultants, that's Stevie. Anybody here with Stevie?
Stevie might be sitting out of
No. Well, I've got a report here with no amounts, nothing at all. So we'll just move on to legal permits and that's the way. Mitch?
Don't have any.
Okay, moving on to board attorney, no one's here. Finance.
Yeah.
I didn't see him.
Yeah.
He's in the other building. Okay, any words of wisdom, Mr. Attorney?
His dick is clicking, though, I guarantee you that.
Anything?
No, I'm good.
Okay, Finance Committee. Amount is not here, so
We didn't have any invoices.
okay, that's the big. Okay, Personnel Committee. Amount is not here, but you give.
Yes, what we'd like to do is ask the board to give the Personnel Committee the authority to act on a couple of the issues we're having right now. We have another Personnel Committee Wednesday, and instead of having to wait for the next meeting, we'd like to get permission to make the decision.
And it's a personal matter, therefore we can't discuss it in
Right.
public. Okay, your wishes, gentlemen. Moved by Max, second by Brett. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Okay, any old business? Any old business? Any new business? Any new business? Okay, I need a motion. Moved by Brett, second by Max. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. You are adjourned.